Of Ashwaubenon Public Works and Protection Committee for Tuesday, December 4th, 2018. To order, roll call, please.
Allison Williams excused, Mike Malcheski excused, Joanne Euclid. Here. Ken Pukowski.
Here.
And Josh Conhorst.
Here.
Wow, we got control tonight. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh boy, it's warmer in here. We finally turned the heat on in this building. That's good. Okay. I'd like to move a couple of things around on the agenda. If we would take, move item 7D and 7C, and move them up to D would become A and C would become B. So with those two changes, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have the minutes from October 2nd, 2018, 5:45 p.m. meeting. And Josh just called my attention to the fact that in the minutes it says that I recused myself from a vote on a something to do with liquor license.
7.
Oh, no, 7, what is it?
The
7A?
Class A liquor license quota. I think it just maybe got logged wrong.
Is it 7A? Because it says no. I voted no.
Correct.
Okay.
It shows that you were recused yourself.
I don't see that.
Next box underneath.
Oh.
The gray box.
Oh, yes, thank you. It says I recused myself. I don't think I did, but it doesn't matter. It's okay. All right. Yeah, right, that's. All right.
Sweet.
We'll amend it to just, I don't remember. I think I voted nay, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Okay. I just moved my recused up to nay then in the gray box, and then I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes for that meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion second to approve the minutes of October 2nd. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Anything from the public that is not on the agenda? Anyone have any items on the agenda that they want to talk about that are not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to action items. 7A, which is on discussion of no parking during Lambo events ordinance. So I'll turn it over to the administration here.
So we have been requested to review our no parking day of Lambo events ordinance due to the confusion it causes as to whether something held at Lambeau Field actually constitutes a Lambo event or not. And staff fully agrees it is confusing. So I passed out to you two different maps. The first map that I'd like you to take a look at says current parking restrictions in the top corner, and you can tell it's the very first corner where reflecting the Lombardi Access Road has both a solid blue line and dashed lines. There's two different maps. I can hand you guys the full set so you have them, but this is in your parking. What staff did is go through, and as you can tell, even in that front corner with the Lombardi Access Road, that there's areas where both no parking at all times overlaps with no parking day of Lambo. So what we did is said, well, it makes no sense for those to overlap. Let's clear that up. We also discussed other areas in which it might make more sense. For example, take Ridge Road from Lombardi past the stadium to Valley View. Nobody currently ever parks there. It doesn't make sense. We would not allow someone to, you'd really have to park in a lane of travel. So if you look at the second map, it's proposed parking, and you'll see that if you just do kind of a comparison between the two different maps, we've eliminated a lot of the dashed lines or a lot of the light blue, and we've converted areas. Anytime it's a solid line, it means there's no parking. The color coding means, like if you look at Ridge Road from just south of the Lambo in the aerial, which is actually Valley View, if you take that all the way down to Cormier, which is at the bottom of your map, what we'd like to do is make it no parking on the west side of the road. The east side of the road, you would be able to have parking, except for during Lambo events, at least, and then I'll explain what's going to happen there. So overall, you can see that we've generally are cleaning up the ordinance, and what we'd propose first off would be that there would be a ordinance brought forward to village board that would amend our no parking at all times ordinance. Francine has done an awesome job diving into this and has explored all the areas in the village in which there are portions in our no parking at all times ordinance where there's signage, but it's not in the ordinance, or vice versa, it's in the ordinance, but there's no signage. So we just need a major cleanup of that ordinance.
So you would come forward and at the next meeting with an actual ordinance? You're just looking for some direction tonight?
Correct. Assuming, I'm bringing it to you to say, okay, if you're on board with this plan, we'd actually adopt 2 different ordinances. We clean up our no parking at all times ordinance. Then the second step is, as staff, and it's a large group of us, kind of have rehashed and hashed all of the Lambo event parking areas. And we tried to explore whether you could take signs and fold them and unfold them depending on if there was parking or no parking. And some of the issues you get into is parking, you unfold the sign on Friday, but it actually doesn't apply till Saturday. And so then we looked at trying to slide in the date, and then that doesn't, will work well the first year, but due to warping and things like that, it doesn't work in future years. According to the sign company, we've looked at digital signage, extremely expensive, as in like $250,000 to do some sort of readable sign.
Yeah.
By reducing it down as far as we did, we're really down to about 2 miles of traffic lanes, if you will. And we don't think that it would really take that much staff time, that we're really looking at about 13 times a year that we would have to put up signs. So what we're suggesting is eliminating the no parking day of Lambo event. We would remove the signs, the post would stay. And then for Packer games, typical Sunday game, we will post police placard signs. Basically, they're a bright orange sign, I believe, that says no parking. It will actually say the date, so it'll be no parking Sunday, so we can put them up on Friday, no problem that it says that for Sunday, and then people can still park there the other days. And then we'll just remove them. It's clear, it's clean. Nobody has to decide if it's a Lambo event or not one. They don't have to see those signs and be confused to whether it applies or not.
Okay. All right. Chief, you okay with that? Okay. Any questions, issues?
So we'll bring through 2 ordinances to village board, then one cleaning up that, the other one just making sure that basically we're eliminating that Lambo event, and we're just going to make sure it's more clearly by police order. One change with respect to currently Lambo event parking is a $50 fine, and so we want to carve that out from typical no parking because it's more cost effective for people to pay a $25 fine than to pay for Packer parking. So we do still have to carve that out as a separate exclusion, but Tony
Okay.
will work out that magic and bring it forward.
Okay.
And we will make the ordinance effective for January 1st. So we will not screw with anybody for the rest of this year. Packers' last game is December 30th, and the ordinance would go in effect on the 1st. We'll remove the signs. It will not cause any trouble for
Okay.
Packer games.
All right. Anyone want to make a motion to approve the items as they are specified in the agenda as item 7D? If not, I'll make that motion.
Sure, go ahead, Ken.
Well, you want a second, or?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Josh. Can we eliminate parking around Gary's sign shop? Would that be part of the deal?
I
No?
believe that's only no parking on the south side of Gary Street, so you actually could still park.
I'm only kidding,
I'm sure Gary will let you park in his yard.
I just wanted to see if he was listening, that's all. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the items as they are specified in item 7D on the agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, now, as item 7 in the agenda, it's denoted as item 7C, which is, let me get there.
Wayfinding signage.
Signage, yeah. Oh, there it is. Okay, this is a discussion on wayfinding signage within the village. So again, you're looking for a,
More maps.
one-
for some approval?
Well, it
Uh-oh.
requires a little more debate.
I can see that.
Trustee Williams has asked us to look at it again. It actually came up at a staff level probably 6-9 months ago because the existing signage out there is tattered and bad and just, it's outdated. The locations are not necessarily all where they are. So the map you see with the blue dots 1 through 9 actually reflect the locations of wayfinding signage currently within the village. Not all of the points of interest that you see are actually on those signs, but we debated about what should we do, and staff-wise, our recommendation, without having talked to Mr. Williams, is we would like to do away with it for the following reasons. One, we don't think people in vehicles necessarily notice them. You know, if you're driving 35, 40 miles an hour down Oneida Street or Holmgren or Cormier, you're not necessarily noticing it. More people, more often than not, are using their cell phones or navigational devices within their cars, so they're not necessarily reliant on the signs anymore. We think the signs would be helpful if it was more at a pedestrian level, where if we had the density and you're walking, and then you might, you know, in our entertainment district, it might make some sense, but we're not necessarily there yet. If you did want to go with some sort of wayfinding signage, that's where we would need direction, because what we greatly debated was who gets to be on the sign and where are the best places to put them, and what is the best place for one business is not necessarily the best place for another, and trying to add those layers to it.
So what you're seeing on the map you handed out, the 9 with the blue, those are where they are now? Those are where the signs are now?
Correct. So there's probably a signage out there telling you where the Ashwaubenon Sports Complex or
Okay.
Cornerstone is.
All right.
But then that gets into a naming issue too. Are you looking for Cornerstone? Are you looking for the Ashwaubenon Sports Complex? They're really kind of the same technical location, different
Okay.
aspects.
All right, Mr. Williams, you're a member of the village board, so we don't need to do anything here to open it up. So what are your comments, sir?
Well, basically, this came forward from another committees that I've been, one committee that I'm on, but one of the ideas of this wayfind signage is to let visitors know what we provide or what we have in the village when they come off the highway. I understand what Allison said and staff as far as people using GPSs, but they know where they're going. People don't know when they enter the village that we have Village Hall, police station, PAC, aquatic center, library, community center that people have supported in referendums by overwhelming majority for us to build these places. They might be going to village or to a Lambo event and say, well, they got a PAC, they got an aquatic center, they got some of these other amenities that we have in the village. So basically what these signs are, I've got some examples here for you
Thank you.
that you can take a look at, is to put these signs up so that they can get direction on, that we, first of all, have these amenities that the community has spent millions of dollars on, that they might, like I said, that they're going to, they might be going to a Lambo event or someplace, and they know where they're going, and they're going to put in their GPS. I understand that. But it's those people that are entering the community that don't know that we have some of these things and want to possibly take advantage of them. I think that some of the main areas that these things could be placed are where you enter the community, like 41 at Lombardi, 41 at Oneida Street, 172 at Pilgrim Way, you know, directing them in a general direction and have some, you know, minor signs as you go towards these places.
Closer to the operations that we're talking about, yeah.
One of the facilities that I'm on the advisory board for is the PAC, and what we're finding is that there's not a lot of people that, first of all, know the PAC is there, or the aquatic center, and when they get there, they're saying what a wonderful place it is for them to go to watch some of these events that are happening. And so we're trying to get them to these events and so that they know what's going on. I don't disagree with a lot of things that are on here, but it's more for the amenities that Ashwaubenon has for their residents and the community versus
Right.
some of the other things that
Right.
are out there.
Well, I know, similar to what you just indicated, I know at least a year ago, the PAC manager brought it up to me that people get to the corner where Target is and they don't know where to go from there. And yes, people have GPSs, but people my age, and there are a lot of folks who use our PAC who are in the elderly section of our community who really don't know where it is, or people coming from out of town may not know where it is. I talked to Allison briefly about this afternoon, and I kind of have to agree with you. I'm not saying that we should leave it the way it is, but maybe we need to do a combination of looking at what's out there now, Allison, and seeing if we can come up with an idea or a thought that would lead people to where things in the village that are relatively frequently visited are. I mean, obviously, you don't need one for Lambo Field or Titletown, that kind of thing. But just those two, the PAC and the pools, are kind of off the beaten path, if you will. And so is the community center, to a lesser extent, but nevertheless, a little off the beaten path. If we had a sign for the community center, for example, right in the corner by the Burger King or Doc Crowley's office, that would be a help. So I don't disagree with you, Mark. I think there's something positive in what you indicated. Either of you have any questions or issues, comments?
Well, I am not a GPS user either.
I can't use your mic.
Oh,
Please.
I am not a GPS user either, so I like the signage directing you to certain activities and things. So I would agree with you that that's something we really need.
I have to go on the other end of it, where my generation's just using the phone, and we're specifically knowing where we're going, and I would have to say that I think it would have to be. What is the cost on something like this, where we'd be looking at like 6 to 8 signs?
We haven't, that's not really.
That's not part of it
not part
right
of
now.
it,
I mean,
yeah.
because I don't know the cost of it,
Yeah.
but I know that we have talked in the past about it, and one of the ways of possibly funding it is an excess fund, unspent excess funds from this year, or, putting it in the budget or something. So, I mean, there's ways of funding it or budgeting for it if we have to. So, I mean, I'm bringing this forward as a point of interest. And, I mean, it's just, you ask some of the people that come into the community and they don't know that we have some of these amenities. And
Rex, you operate a couple of these under your wing, the community center and the pools, for example. What's your thought? Didn't mean to put you on the spot, but
No, it's all right. I will say I bring both my kids to many different communities for different types of tournaments with the sports and events that they're involved in. I do use GPS, but sometimes GPS is wrong, and a lot of times if I've got a co-driver with me, they're also looking for signage. And I mean, I don't think you need it all over the village, multiple signs for one, but I think at some of the major points, just to get people going in the right direction, to confirm that, yeah, this is the direction I should be going, it helps. I've used it before in some of the other cities I've gone to. I don't think it's needed all over the place, but at some of the major corners or intersections, we've used it before.
okay. Madam President, now, I'll put you on the spot now. Would you be amenable to, cut my tongue off for saying it, forming a small committee of interested parties to take a look at this issue? I think it's an important issue. Take a look at it, come up with some costs, some ideas about where signs should be for what facilities, and come up with some costs and and take a look at it, and maybe do away with a lot of the ones that are out there already. Would you be amenable to that?
Well, when we discussed this issue at staff, we had a very long discussion about this, and it all boils down to, are people really using the signage? Where do you put it? Who goes on it? So I guess I would be open to having a small committee. I don't know who would be on that committee. But I would be open to looking at what they're doing, but it's much more involved than just going, oh, hey, I think we need these signs.
Oh, right. That's
So,
would be the purpose of a committee.
We did take some of them down. The ones that, the maintenance on the type that we had, they were pretty bad looking, so I don't.
Well, I'll tell you what, as chair of this committee, I feel some obligation. I'd be happy to sit down with you and see if we can come up with a few names of people who would have an interest in this issue, and see if we can come up with a plan. Would that be okay?
Sure.
All right. Allison, I know you're dying to say something, so go ahead.
I don't have a problem. We'll certainly explore it further. I don't have an issue with that at all. We have talked to the high school specifically about the PAC and the pool. It gets confusing once, in talking with a couple of people there, once they get to that location, people aren't sure which wing of the building is what, unless you're literally looking at the sign. So we have already talked to Ashwaubenon High School about, they have the ability to put some wayfinding signage at their points of entrances, so people know, enter here for the pool, enter here for the field house, enter here for the PAC. So I think they are working on that. If you want to explore the rest of it,
Well, we spent a significant amount of private money. It was around $70,000 actually to build two beautiful digital signs. One at the PAC for the school and the PAC, and then one at the community center. And unfortunately, they're both, the one for the community center is like a quarter of a block off of where it would really be useful. And the one for the high school and PAC is about a block off of where it would really be useful. But we can't do that because that's private property, and we didn't have a right to do that. But, so, all right, would you guys all right with that? Josh, even though you use the GPS?
And I'm not I think you have a very valid point that our public has spent a lot of money on these things. I'm struggling with the correlation of, is it going to drive people to this at that time when they see that sign? And I don't know if there's a better usage of money for better advertising through social media or different web sources that people, when they're doing their research on Ashwaubenon, when they're coming to a Packer game, is there a better way to advertise this beyond a sign when they're here already? That's where I'm struggling with that. So I think it's great that we would explore it more. I certainly don't have any issue with it. I think it would be low priority, in my opinion, but I think there might be a better way too. So that's just my 2 cents on it.
Not to beat a dead horse, but I think what you said, you used the phrase earlier of your generation, and you're absolutely right. You mentioned social media. I'm very comfortable with a computer and my flip phone, but I'm not on social media. People my age, and there are a lot of them who come to the PAC, a lot of the programs we have are meant for that age group, and they don't use social media. Some of them may not even have computers, and I think that's the group and those who come from out of town maybe need this. So. I'll make a motion to refer this to the village president and myself to come up with a small committee just to research this issue and come up with some suggestions.
And I'll second.
Seconded by Joanne. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, thank you, Mark. Thank you. Okay, getting back to the agenda.
Oh, those. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, take those. Those are nice. Those are very nice. All right, item 7A. Discussion and possible action on 2019 food truck rallies in Ashwaubenon Park. So Rex, we'll turn it over to you.
We're looking at having 3 food truck rallies in 2019 at Ashwaubenon, put on through the Parks and Recreation Department. Just kind of a expansion of the type of event programming, such as we started with the Ashwaubenon Blast a couple of years ago. A lot of people are at that, thousands actually, and we thought this might be a nice addition to our programming basket, basically, of offering some things to the community. As such, one of the things that we've been talking about with the different food truck vendors, the gentleman who's organizing it, I believe he's part of the Green Bay Food Truck Coalition, and we've already got 5 or 6 people that have started to verbally confirm that they would be there in attendance, and then we'd be pairing it with a movie night or some special events at the lake. But as part of the food truck rally, we're looking for a beverage area to be able to sell beer. Beer only, we're not able to sell wine, not able to sell mixed drinks or anything like that. Just looking for the ability to sell beer at the 3 individual food truck rallies. We're looking at 1 in June, 1 in July, and 1 in early August before the blast.
Okay. Would you combine these with things such as, just thinking off the top of my head, an auto show, for example, or arts and crafts? I'll tell you that last 2 years, my wife and I have gone to St. Norbert Day in September, and I know that's a whole different ball game. But boy, the food trucks there, you can hardly get close to them. People are lined up to buy food there, and it's part of a bigger, a bigger event, if you will. And I'm not suggesting we get
No, I think it's interesting if we went in that direction. I don't think for the first year, certainly, if probably not the first year or two, I would wait and see. Hopefully we could grow them to get to that point where we'd be able to offer a lot of ancillary type of programs to go along with it. Right now we're just looking at a family movie night as well as 2 movie nights actually, and then a special event night at the lake.
All right.
So that would be paired with that. There'd also be like a bounce house and some family games that we'd be setting up in the middle concourse area for people to play.
Bounce house, you mean one of the things for kids?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You going in?
I'm sorry?
You gonna get in it?
Ow, my shoes off. Anybody have any questions? Joanne? Josh?
Heard a lot of positive stuff about this. Just the concept. I ran by a few people and they thought it was a really good idea. So I definitely support this.
We do a good job in the concerts on Wednesdays in the summertime. But this, I think, would add something additional for the...
Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's in the evening.
Right.
We've already got an audience at Ashwaubenon with the youth baseball programs going on, and the Ashwaubenon Lake being there. We'd stay open on a little bit later on the nights that we'd be offering it. So it's got some possibilities.
It's just too bad our climate in this part of the country doesn't lend itself to more on either end, but that's just the way life is, so not much we can do about it. All right, anyone want to make a motion to approve that resolution?
Yes, I'll move to approve resolution number R21-1-18 for the 2019 Ashwaubenon food truck rallies.
It's R12. You said R21. It's R12.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. R12-1-18?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
Seconded by Joanne. All right. Any further discussion? Madam Chairman or President, you're okay with this? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, 7B, action on no parking zone request for Marquee Way.
Picked a bad date.
I presume that's how you pronounce it.
So
Is that why you gentlemen are here?
I don't know which
Okay.
one is which. I'm good.
Okay, if you want to say something, we'll open it up in a minute. You may not want to say anything, but go ahead, Chief.
All right. A little parking issues kind of developed on Marquee Way, and it was brought to our attention from the newer business owner, Zenith Express. They recently moved into a building. Their address is technically on Holmgren Way, but their driveway for their truck deliveries comes off of Marquee Way. They moved in here in June, and they take in anywhere from 6 to 8 53-foot semi-trailers a day into their facility with the nature of work that they do. And with that, when there's parking on the street, which is legal parking, for the 53-foot trailers to make that maneuver, it becomes very, very tight. Mr. Hireman, who owns both the buildings on the north and south side of the street, is here tonight, along with Mr. Mader, who's the owner of Zenith Express. They're here tonight to explain the situation that's there. as I explained in my agenda green sheet, it's not a public safety issue per se, of safety or anything like that. It's more a matter of convenience and, trying to put a bigger truck into a
Sure.
smaller venue. So
Sure.
I think the gentleman here could probably best explain the issues and what they'd like to do to resolve this.
All right. I'll make a motion to open the floor.
Second.
Moving to second to open the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Gentlemen, come on up.
Am I allowed
Yes.
to pass this on?
Sure.
Thank you.
As long as it's not full of too much.
No, it's short.
Not too exaggerated. Good for you. And you are Vernon Hairman?
No, this is
Oh, you're Vernon,
Vernon.
okay.
I'm Mr. Mater.
Oh, okay,
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
Would you state your name and address, please, for the record?
My name is Tom Mater, Zenith Express, 3176 Holmgren Way.
Okay, thank you. And sir?
Vernon Hireman, and we are the owner of the property across and the property that he rents from us right now.
Okay, thank you. All right, sir, go ahead.
We moved in end of June, and after moving in, we put an additional dock in, so we now can accommodate up to 3 semis at the same time. And
Where do you
after-
load in and out of there? Not that it's,
We're the last mile distributor for anybody that orders on the internet.
oh,
So if somebody orders from Amazon or Wayfair, semis bring it to our place. We schedule the last mile.
okay,
So immediately when we moved in, we saw that it was tight getting in and out with a semi. And then adding an additional dock made it even more difficult to get in and out. So we're requesting 120 feet on the south side of Marquee Way to be designated as no parking.
okay. Chief, I imagine that's the red part on this map? Yes. Okay, all right. Oh, yeah, there it is, okay. Mr. Hireman, did you want to add anything?
Right now, I don't have any comments because it doesn't affect our properties that we have there.
Now, you own a property on both sides of the Marquee Way,
That is correct.
including the ones in front of that red parking area?
Just the property that would be to the south.
Okay. Who parks there now? Is that employees, I presume, of various?
That's employees from Velocity Machine. And I have talked to Ken Frederickson at Velocity Machine as well as my other neighbors, and nobody has any objection to it.
So if we pass this, we're not going to get clobbered.
Not from the neighbors, no. As a matter of
Well,
fact,
I'm glad you talked to them. I'm glad you talked to them. That's important.
as a matter of fact, after we leased the building from Mr. Hireman, we're now renting the space across the street for parkings. So we've taken virtually all the cars off the street from our employees and our vehicles.
Okay. All right, any questions? Josh, Joanne?
So that red zone is the only thing that you would want, not anything next to the driveway for
Across from the
ease?
driveway. It's
Just across from the driveway?
Just across from the driveway, about 120 feet.
Chief, you're okay with that? Okay, so you've talked to the employer of the people who park there generally now, and he or she or they are okay with this, as far as you know.
On the street?
Yes.
There's nobody parking there now.
Oh, they're not parked in this red area?
Oh, well, they can park there.
Right, right. I mean, you've talked to the people whose employees park there, and they're okay with this?
Yes.
Are you getting deliveries 7 days a week? Or would you want this just certain days and certain hours?
Well, we're actually 6 days a week, so I would think it would be 7 days a week would what we would require.
Okay. Anything else by either one of you? No, you said your piece?
I think so.
Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead, Chief.
I this, what started the parking issue, was maybe explain, you had rented that service, your building across the street. Mr. Hyman, you rented the other building?
Yes.
Was it Machine Services?
I rented it to EDL,
EDL?
yes, for 6 months when the building was down.
Right. EDL, they had a collapse of the building last snowstorm.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well, they put their temporary offices over in Mr. Harmon's other building, and it was probably too many people for a short period of time, which caused an overflow of employee parking on the roadway.
Oh, okay.
Which, the overflow from the parking lot actually went down Marquee Way and caused some issues there.
Okay.
So, but now the Express is leasing both spots.
Okay. All right, then I'll move to return to regular order of business.
Second.
Motion second to return to regular order of business. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, either one of you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I'm just trying to figure out some verbiage here.
You can actually refer to the,
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve a no parking zone located on Marquee Way, 130 feet.
just
For
as
Zenith
indicated on the
Express.
map.
As indicated on the map.
There you go.
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second to recommend to the village board that we prohibit parking on the area on the map that's entitled item 7BA on tonight's agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. Oh, yeah, one more item, item 7E. Discussion and possible action on ordinance 012-1-18 relating to loud and unnecessary noise. Tony, you want to take a shot at this?
Sure, I can give the committee an explanation on this. As you may recall, a few months back, we brought forth an ordinance that did allow, slightly modified the noise ordinance with respect to licensed outdoor premises. So basically alcohol licensed establishments, their outdoor patios, which on limited nights of the week, which are Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, noise would be allowed between 10 and 11 p.m. on those nights, or acoustic noise or non-amplified noise would be allowed for 1 hour later than whatever is customarily allowed under another ordinance section in 9-1-6. What we noticed is that there's a little bit of a discrepancy between the time frames. There was the 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. in section 9-1-6, and then we had the 11 p.m. time frame that was in 3-2-92. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy or disconnect between those. So in looking at to reconcile that difference, this proposed ordinance basically creates an exception in allowing that specific noise is limited to licensed outdoor areas, and then it creates the exception in the other one, so we don't have to take the same language and put it into section 9-1-6, and then it gets all wordy, and you've got different days of the week and things of that nature. So what this proposed ordinance does is just creates an exception for that other section, and then it also adds in a condition where the noise ordinance can be accepted for village-approved special events, so we can control that through the special event permit application process. And then it also just basically tightens up the language of the regular noise ordinance so that it's more clear for enforcement purposes.
Okay. Any questions?
Why did you include Thursdays as an hour later? People still go to work on Friday.
I believe that's because those are more of the busier nights of the week for those sorts of establishments.
You a party pooper?
I am, definitely.
Probably relates to maybe Thursday night Packer games, things of that nature as well, would be my guess.
Would this include construction noise?
Yes, it would. There may be another section that would that may apply, but otherwise this is generally applies to any sort of noise that exists throughout the village.
Okay, someone want to make a motion to approve this?
So moved.
All right, motion by Joanne to approve ordinance 012-1-18.
Second.
Seconded by Josh. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, I think that's it. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Josh, seconded by Joanne to adjourn. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Thank you very much, folks.